Hello and welcome inside the CBC Newsroom. I'm Arthi Pol. It is just 24 hours since Donald Trump's inauguration, but his latest comments on Canada have renewed the sense of urgency among federal and provincial politicians preparing for a possible tariff war. The U.S. president suggested last night a possible implementation date, making the threat all the more real.
Thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada because they're allowing vast numbers of people. Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in.
When do you think you would enact those?
I think February 1st.
The U.S. president there putting a date on his plan to slap tariffs on Canada and Mexico. He appears unmoved by repeated Canadian attempts to point out that less than 1% of fentanyl and illegal crossings into the U.S. come from Canada. Trump floated the possible implementation date as he took questions while signing numerous executive orders on his first night back in the White House. Now, naturally, the tariffs and Trump's mention of a February 1st implementation date has preoccupied discussions at the federal Liberal cabinet retreat in Quebec. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau addressed the issue at a news conference earlier today. The CBC's Olivia Stefanovic has more.
Even with this latest threat from U.S. President Donald Trump, the federal government is not announcing any retaliatory measures just yet. In fact, what we heard from the Prime Minister today is that he does support the principle of matching any U.S. tariffs that come into place dollar for dollar. He acknowledges that that will make things more expensive in Canada for consumers here who buy American products. So Justin Trudeau says he is looking for Canadian alternative products to promote. And he also says he's looking at offering compensation to workers who may be affected by tariffs if they come into place, to make sure really that no one sector or region of the country is disproportionately affected. However, the goal of these discussions at the cabinet retreat today, this is the second day cabinet is meeting in Montebello, Quebec, is to avoid the situation altogether, to ensure that the U.S. administration gets the point that Canada is a reliable trading partner and has resources like critical minerals that the U.S. should be using more of. Take a listen to what the Prime Minister had to say earlier about this.
We will stay steady on focusing on defending both Canadian interests, but also on defending the economic relationship between Canada and the U.S. itself. We know that a win-win or a win-win-win is not just possible, it is desirable. And our focus is remaining calm, remaining strong, and responding as necessary to actions by the United States.
The Prime Minister went on to say in his news conference that the federal government expected this, for there to be unpredictability, that Trump is unpredictable, and that he may make statements that conflict with things that his administration does. For example, with these tariff threats and the fact that Trump is now saying that he may impose tariffs as early as February 1st on Canadian products, that contradicts a memo that Trump signed after he was inaugurated on his first day back in the White House. It's the American First Trade Policy, which directs the Secretary of Commerce and Secretary of Homeland Security to review Canada's border plan, essentially, to look at the flow of migrants, the flow of fentanyl, and to assess how that's going. And the deadline for that review to come back to the U.S. administration, to Trump's desk, is April 1st. So we have two competing deadlines here, but the federal government knows that Trump can go ahead with tariffs at any point. So it is preparing to respond. It has a retaliatory package worth tens of billions of dollars as well as a list of 10 American products to immediately target for counter tariffs, including washing machines, Kentucky bourbon, and orange juice. But it's not moving forward with that yet, as it waits to see what Trump's next move will be.
And Olivia, let's get some more detail about that too. How exactly does Canada plan to fend off Trump's economic threats?
Well, the focus today is really on tweaking this retaliatory response. The Prime Minister does not have an official call scheduled with the U.S. President in the immediate future. However, his cabinet ministers are preparing to travel to Washington and to continue to make trips to D.C. in the coming weeks to continue to make the case to the Americans that a trade war is not something that they want to start with Canada, that Canada is ready to respond to any tariffs that the U.S. administration imposes, and that this would not only hurt Canadians, but hurt Americans as well, because Canada is, again, ready to retaliate, and that a trade war could be devastating for both countries. So this is the focus very much on the meetings that the Prime Minister is having with his cabinet today, as it prepares to just do more advocacy work and make the case to Americans that they don't want to get into this.
That was the CBC's Olivia Stefanovich in Montebello, Quebec. And now, just moments ago, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre issued a statement regarding the threat of tariffs, saying this in his statement, that Canada is facing a critical challenge. On February 1st, we're facing the risk of unjustified 25% tariffs by our largest trading partner that would have damaging consequences across our country. Now, he adds in this statement that we need retaliatory tariffs, but says that's something that requires parliamentary consideration, and adding, yet Liberals have shut Parliament in the middle of this crisis.